For the Son of God, he walks among us. Oh, 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 we've seen signs and wonders he held in human hands. A kingdom very near, scorning hell's demands. For the Son of God's alive among us. He's alive among us. He's alive among us. The Son of God's alive among us. He's alive among us. The Son of God's alive among us. All right, you can take a seat. Thank you.
Well, good morning. It is so good to be with you this morning. I wish we could be outside. However, if we're not going to be outside, it's nice to be inside where, once again, if you haven't been in here in the last week, we now have air conditioning. So we got the air conditioning installed, and then the last 2 weeks following, we've had to be inside. So worked out pretty well. It's great to be with you. My name's Jeremy. If we have not met, we are a brand new church that exists to grow goodness. And so my hope is that you're in here, in this room with us today, watching us online, somehow out in the community throughout the week, interacting with us, that maybe just through that interaction, there's a little bit of nurturing, healing, wholeness, and beauty in your life. A couple logistical things as we get started. Hopefully as you came in this morning, you got one of these, our worship handout. So as you open it up and then flip it, it has the most important information that you're going to want to know about the church, how we got started, what our values are, how to give to make sure we're able to continue to do all of this, not only that we find meaningful, but for the people who aren't yet here. And then on the right-hand side, we have information about kids in worship. Grove Kids and our fall ministry season begins 3 weeks from today. In the meantime, even though we're inside, the rules still apply as have been the case throughout the summer. So we do not have Grove Kids programming, which means if you have kids with you, you are responsible for your kids. The rest of us are not, and we don't have our volunteers who are responsible for them. So they're welcome to be in here throughout the worship service. We, of course, have the wiggle space, which the kids are already making use of over here. We have coloring activities in the backs of the chairs. We have the nursery that is available, that is unstaffed, but is available if you want to make use of that. But once again, you're responsible for your kids, and they are welcome and celebrated to be in here throughout the service. Then, as we flip to the back, we have our 3 announcements that we have been keying in on this month. I'm just going to give some high-level details for each of them. We're actually going to start with the second one, because that is coming up first. It's already coming up this Friday. We're going to talk in just a second about our community events, but something that we haven't done as much of but are going to maybe start doing a little bit more are events simply for us to interact with one another and get to know each other better. And they're strictly fun. So this Friday, we have Echoes and Embers, which is simply we're going to have a campfire. And everybody's invited to come to the campfire. We're going to have anybody who wants to bring any musical instruments and wants to contribute to the night, they're welcome to. Otherwise, you are just free to come and enjoy the campfire and enjoy each other's presence. There is word that there's some sort of s'more charcuterie board that's going to be available with like fancy type of s'more ingredients. I have not been involved in this at all, so I can't speak to what those things are. But apparently there's going to be something there that involves that. So maybe that's your draw. Anyways, that is this Friday at 6:30. Then in 2 weeks from today, it is our last Sunday of being outside. It's also the last Sunday before South Washington County schools start. And so we have our backpack blessing, which is the opportunity for any of our students, preschool all the way through, I don't know, going for your doctorate. If you're going back to school this fall, we invite you to bring your backpacks and to come up during the service so we can say a prayer over your backpacks and your school year. It's also a good opportunity to invite new people if that is something that you think that they would find valuable. Again, that is on Sunday, August 31st. And then the big one that is coming up on October 11th is our pop-up pumpkin patch. This is our biggest community event of the year where we welcome 2,000, 2,500 people onto the property, which is fantastic, and it takes a lot of work. And so if you would be willing to help with the planning and execution of that event, you should talk to me afterwards, because we need to start doing some of the planning and the execution of that event. Those details and other details about things that are going on are available if you scan this QR code and go to our link tree. Okay, I think that's it for the boring announcements. So we're going to move into Connection Point. Just as a reminder, Connection Point is your opportunity to connect with people around you through a little bit of forced interaction. We are reaching, unfortunately, the end of summer. But one thing that some people really enjoy about the end of summer, which begins on, is it Thursday? Friday, is the state fair. There's very few people that are in the middle, like state fair is fine. It's either we absolutely love the state fair, or I could not care less about the state fair. And so the question is, the Connection Point question is, which are you? I know that we have some people who live over here, like try to get to the state fair as much as possible. I have been to the state fair one time, and that was enough for me. I have done the state fair, and that's it for me. So that's the question. Why don't you stand up, find someone you don't know or don't know very well, introduce yourself if you don't know them, tell them what you feel about the state fair, and then we will reconvene in a few minutes. Ready, go.
And we're going to welcome the kiddos on up here for some children's ministry.
Vito. I know. It's part of the bit. It's part of the bit.
Good.
All right, I need the kids up here.
Ryan did that one time unintentionally.
We don't have as many kids today. But I'm going to welcome you kids up here. I don't have any treats for you, but Oliver might share some of his candy. You don't have to share, Oliver. The last time he brought a treat, it was not candy. What was it, buddy? Seaweed. So he goes from seaweed to Sour Patch Kids. Whatever. All right, so we'll invite you up here, kids. We usually, during Campfire Stories, have a story that we read from for the day. We don't have a story today. I have a different kind of message, though. Is it all boys? Oh, my goodness. This never happens. Good job, boys. Way to show up. Okay, you're the perfect judges of this, though, okay? I went shopping this past week. I don't buy very many new clothes, and I basically never buy clothes unless they're on clearance. And I went to Target this past week, and I found a pair of jeans that were not only my size, which is not easy to find, tall and skinny, but were also only $10. And I don't try clothes on before I get them. I just buy them and then bring them home, and then try them on and return them if I need to. So I bought this pair of jeans, and I brought them home, and I realized they were baggy jeans, because that's what the cool kids wear these days. Gen Z, apparently skinny jeans, which is what I usually wear, are out. So these are the jeans, and I need you to tell me whether do you think these work for me?
Sure.
Well, okay, just from the boys, just from the 5 boys up here. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs down, thumbs down, thumbs down, thumbs down. We got 1 thumbs up. Pascal, can you do thumbs up or thumbs down? He's not sure. You'll notice, and I had several people as I walked in point out, I've left the tags on for a reason. So I got them home and tried them on, and I'm like, these are not me. These do not look like me at all. And so they're... they would probably look really good on my daughter. I agree. Yeah, not on me, because I'm 38 years old and look like this. Do you know what it means for something to be out of character?
What?
Do you know what that means? Anybody?
No.
Okay, let me give an example. Do you know Bluey?
Yeah.
Do you know the show Bluey? Do you know Bluey's dad?
Yeah. It's Bandit.
His name's Bandit. If Bluey's dad, if there were a show with Bluey's dad on it, and he came in and he was really mean to them, and he started yelling at them and said, "Be quiet!" And he started, I don't know, throwing things at them. No way.
No way.
Why do you say no way? That's not like Bandit, right? We would say that's out of character, because we know that Bandit doesn't usually act like that, right? So we, yeah. He might sometimes act like he's upset with them, but he doesn't like yell at them or anything. So we would say that's out of character for Bandit. The same can be true when we hear things about God. There might be some things that people say about God, that God is this way, and if we know God and we know what Jesus is like, especially, we might be like, that doesn't sound like the Jesus that I know. When you think about Jesus, and all of you are around enough, you are in Grove Kids, what are some of the things that you know Jesus is like? Old beard? Sure. Yeah. Anybody? What was Jesus like? Okay, we got the beard down. We got that. What did he act like? How did he treat other people? He was nice. Yep.
Oh, I know. He was just nice to the people.
He was nice to the people. He was loving. What about,
Liked him.
what's that?
His father liked
His father liked him. What about, there's stories about him with little kids. Did he like yell at the little kids? Like, pipe down, I'm talking to the adults? Nope, he welcomed little kids. He welcomed all sorts of people. And so as your kids, but even as you grow up, there might be things that people say about God or about Jesus that one of the reasons we show up every week and we teach you about Jesus in here and out there is so that you can know when you're going through your life and people are like, well, God says this, or God wants me to do this, you're able to go, I don't think so. That's not the Jesus that I know. Jesus taught me to love. Jesus taught me to welcome people. And if that's what you're saying about God, I know that that is not true. That's a really important lesson for you to learn as kids, because you're going to need it not only as kids, but as adults. So that you can know when you try on that pair of pants, you're like, that doesn't look like Jesus. All right, that's all I got for you. Thanks for hanging in here. Nobody removed their shoes like last week. That was fantastic.
All right. Have you rise as you're able and join us once again in song.
Blessed are the ones who do not bury all the broken pieces of their heart. Blessed are the tears of all the weary, pouring like a sky of falling stars. Blessed are the wounded ones in mourning, braving all is in the Lord. Keep your eyes on Him.
You can take a seat.
These are much more comfortable. I will say, so I tried them on at home, and my first thought was, this is not going to work for me. And my second thought was, these are super comfortable. They're going back, though. They were only $10, but they're still going back. All right, so we are in the third week of our Campfire Stories series. We have done this for the last 4 summers. And just as a refresher, we do this series every year where we retell these old stories from the Bible, and we try not to get too caught up in the details of like when this happened or how this happened, and instead try to retell them in such a way that it's like, well, this is maybe how it would be told if we told it around a campfire with friends and family. What are the things that we'd emphasize and not emphasize? And just focusing on that instead of getting caught up in those other things that the original storytellers may not have actually had any intention of us asking. So we started 2 weeks ago. Anybody remember what we started this series with? The story of? Anybody? Joseph. So we started with Joseph of the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat fame. So Joseph was a son of a guy named Jacob, whose name gets changed to Israel. He's one of 12 brothers. His brothers don't like him very much. He's kind of cocky, and they don't like that. So of course, they sell him into slavery in Egypt, as you do. And while he's in Egypt, he rises up the ranks, and he becomes like the COO of all of Egypt. And his brothers have to come to him for help because there's a famine. Long story short, he forgives them. He welcomes the entire family to join him in Egypt. Things go really well for a few centuries, and then a new pharaoh comes in, and that pharaoh forgets Joseph, looks around at all these foreigners and says, I don't like this, and I don't like these foreigners, so I'm going to make sure that we oppress them and hold them down to make Egypt great again. And so he does that, and the Israelites call out to God for help. God responds by lifting up a man named Moses. Moses goes to the Pharaoh and says, let my people go. If you don't let my people go, all of these bad things are going to happen. And as we talked about last week in the story of Pharaoh and the 10 plagues, time and time again, Pharaoh has an opportunity to soften his heart, to recognize that change is possible, to open himself up to new possibilities and to new people. And time again, he hardened his own heart, or allowed his heart to be hardened against people, against change, and there was a cascading effect of consequences that came from that. So the people of Israel are then freed, which is kind of where we pick up today's story. The people of Israel have been freed from Egypt. They're on their way to this land of promise that God has promised them, where they're going to live in their own freedom. They leave Egypt for one reason or another that we're not going to get into. For 40 years, they wander around in the desert before finally getting to the doorsteps of their home, and they're about to go in, which sounds fantastic. They've been waiting for this land that God has promised them. There's one problem. There's already people who live there. So what happens with the people that live there? There is an entire book of the Bible called Joshua, which covers what happens to the people that live there. And so we pick up today's story about Joshua and the conquest in Joshua chapter 1, verse 1. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord spoke to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' assistant, saying, my servant Moses is dead. Now proceed to cross the Jordan, you and all this people, into the land that I am giving to them, to the Israelites. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given to you, as promised to Moses. From the wilderness and the Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all of the land of the Hittites, to the great sea in the west, shall be your territory. No one shall be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not fail you or forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you shall put this people in possession of the land that I swore to their ancestors to give them. Only be strong and very courageous, being careful to act in accordance with all the law that my servant Moses commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, so that you may be successful wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth, and you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to act in accordance with all that is written in it. For then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall be successful. I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. That last verse in particular might sound familiar to some of you. Some of you might know this story. You might have read it before, and so you know this verse from that story. You might know this story because of an aunt who shared it on Facebook, completely out of context and with like a beautiful sunset background. Or you might know it from like a Hobby Lobby wall art thing. This is a very familiar quote. And when you remove it of its context, there's nothing bad about it, and it's actually kind of good. There are 100 different times throughout the Bible where God encourages us, God encourages the people to be strong and be courageous, to not fear. To not fear is an important thing. It's an important message throughout the Bible. We actually have a song that we've been singing pretty regularly here at the Grove called Nothing to Fear. And it goes, nothing to fear. For I am with you, for God is with you always. Like, this is an important message for us to hear. And one of the things that we try to do as responsible Bible readers is not remove things from their context. And so, if we look at the context of this, God is speaking to Joshua, this new leader of the Israelite people, and saying, be strong and courageous, do not fear. What is the thing that he needs to be strong and courageous in order to do? Well, we get one example of it in the chapters that follow. Well, we get lots of examples of it in the chapters that follow as they make their way into the land. But I want to give you one example of what this looks like. Be strong and courageous, do not fear, so that you can do this. The people shouted, the trumpets were blown. As soon as the people heard the sound of the trumpets, they raised a great shout, and the wall fell down flat. So the people charged straight ahead into the city and captured it. Then they devoted to destruction by the edge of the sword all in the city, both men and women, young and old, oxen, sheep, and donkeys. So, to recap, Joshua is instructed to be strong and courageous in order to lead the people of Israel into this land where there are already people living and have lived there for decades, centuries, maybe. To announce that this is now their land, to conquer it by any means necessary, and then to kill everyone and anything that gets in their way. And again, the instruction to be strong and courageous is in order that they can do this thing that God has told them to do. If you think about wearing those big pants that I just did a few minutes ago, does that seem consistent with the character of God that we have come to know? If not, what on earth do we do with that? You noticed, and I pointed out, that we did not read a kid's story today. And it's not because I didn't try. So we have a lot of children's Bibles in my house, believe it or not. These are just 4 of them. These are 4 of the best ones that we have. But we have others, and I even have a couple children's Bibles that I have from when I was growing up. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to attempt to see if any of these children's Bibles try to address this story of Joshua and the conquest. So I pulled off these top 3 in particular. These are the ones that I usually go to. I read from 2 of the 3 over the last couple weeks when I did this story up here. Thought, how did they address Joshua and the conquest? Well, 2 of them completely ignore it. Don't talk about it at all. And then the third one, this one, which I read from 2 weeks ago, it talks about the story of Jericho, which is the story of the wall falling down. So if you're unfamiliar with the story, God commands them to go to not attack this city that has this impenetrable wall around it, that they are to march around the wall every day, and then the last day they march around it a number of times and they blow the horn, and then the walls just fall down and then they go in. So it tells that part of the story. The walls come down, and then this is what it says about the rest. It says, "So it was that God's people entered their new home, and they didn't have to fight to get in. They only had to walk." That's not how the story goes. That's not it at all. So I was like, oh, so they don't talk about this at all. And if they do, it's just kind of brushed away. But there's one children's Bible that just came out earlier this year that is written by a bunch of different scholars that I think very highly of. And I thought, I've been waiting to buy this Bible. I'm going to buy it now. I'm going to use this as an opportunity, as an excuse to buy it. Because if anybody is going to handle Joshua and the conquest well, it's these scholars. So I bought the book. It arrives. There's a story called Home, which begins talking about them going into the land. One thing that happens as they go into the land is they have to cross this Jordan River, and they cross it on dry land. And it tells that part of the story, and then you turn the page. This is where they would then go to Jericho, and all that happens, and then they're instructed to go into the city and kill everybody. This is how it happens. They go into the land, and anyway, after years of desert wandering, the people were finally home. That's not how the story goes. Anyway, so, once again, what does it suggest? That even the best children's Bibles are uncomfortable or unwilling to tell this story and to pass it down to their children. To say that, you know what, we need to pass down the faith, but maybe we completely gloss over this part. What does that suggest for us? I want to give you a hopeful thing and a not so hopeful thing. So, part of this series is like not worrying about the details of when or how these events may have actually happened, and I try to stay as much as possible away from those details, but I'm going to dive into some of them today because it's so disconcerting, the details of this story. Here's some good news. The good news is that these events probably never happened. There have been lots of archaeological studies that have been done in the area at this time. And just to raise up one example, again, this story of Jericho that had this large wall around it in the story, and it ends up falling miraculously because of God's work for them, so that they didn't have to do it because they just walked around in circles. The archaeological studies suggest that there was not a wall around Jericho 1,000 years before this event would have happened, nor 1,000 years after this event would have happened. And in fact, if you try to get the chronology right of when this story may have taken place, there may not have even been people living there. Which, if you're a biblical literalist and all of the details have to be historically accurate, that could be problematic. But if this story is problematic, that's good news that these events probably never happened. On the other hand, the story is still there. The story is still a part of the Jewish scriptures and the Christian scriptures. It is a part of our sacred canon that has been handed down over thousands of years. At some point, someone wrote it down and included it and said, we need to pass this down through the generations. And so we got to figure out what to do with it. And in many ways, when people have said we need to do something with this story, the results have not been good. There were people early on who said, see, this is the divine invitation by God, our claim to this land, and nobody else deserves to be here. As white settlers started moving into what became the United States, there was this thing called manifest destiny, where the idea was that God had given this land to the settlers, and they used the story of Joshua and the conquest as an example of, see, we're just like Joshua. God has given us this land, and we can do with this land and the people who already live here whatever we would like to do. And then even modern day, there are people who look back at this story of Joshua and the conquest and say, see, this is why the modern nation of Israel has claim, not only to the West Bank, but also to Gaza, regardless of the millions of people who already live there. There's actually an article that I read this week that described the story of Joshua and the conquest, not of Canaan, but the conquest of the West Bank. This is currently being used as an example of why these people who have already lived there should be moved out regardless of their connection to it, because God has ordained it. What on earth do we do with a story like this? Well, the good news is that we don't have to handle the story like it has been handled in so many ways over the centuries. And I think maybe the most helpful thing is to treat it like a campfire story. Now, the original telling of this story was probably a looking back from people centuries later to explain how they ended up in this land, how the people of Israel ended up here, and why they deserved to be here. It would have been like a very nationalistic or patriotic type of message where we have our God against all of these ones. We are so much better, and our God is so much better. And you could imagine like sitting around a campfire and someone telling a nationalistic, patriotic story like that. And some people sitting around that campfire would hear that message and just be like, yeah, wave the flag. And then they start getting into like details of genocide and killing everyone, men, women, children, elderly, all the animals. And you can imagine people sitting at the campfire making eyes at each other like, this took a turn. Do we need to be worried about him? And if the storyteller has any ability to read the room, it could be that they realize that maybe they went a little bit too far, and maybe they're either going to tell the story a little bit differently next time or not the story at all, because the message is not what they were intending. This is what the children's Bibles have done. They have clearly said, you know what? We kind of have to talk around the edges of this, but this is maybe not a story that we actually want to be passing down to our kids, to be formational in their faith. And if that sits a little bit uncomfortably with you even, Jesus does this with this story. So there is a story that happens, it's in two of the biographies about the life of Jesus, but in the Gospel according to Matthew, which is one of the biographies, there's this brief exchange that I'm guessing many of you or most of you have never heard this story before, where he takes on this message. So this is from the Gospel according to Matthew, and it's chapter 15. Jesus left that place and went away to the district of Tyre and Sidon. Just then he met a Canaanite woman from that region, who came out and started shouting, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But he did not answer her at all. And his disciples came and urged him, saying, "Send her away, for she keeps shouting after us." Jesus answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." Jesus answered, "It is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table." Then Jesus answered her, "Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And her daughter was healed instantly. So just to recap, Jesus is out and about. He's left his kind of home base, and he's moving north now to an area that is part of modern Lebanon. And he interacts with this Canaanite woman. This is the only time in all of the New Testament and all of the Christian scriptures where the word Canaanite is used. It's not a slur, but it's not exactly not a slur. Because Canaanite in the Jewish mindset, referred to those enemies who kind of already inhabited the land, those people that were undeserving, that could kind of be brushed aside or like just killed off. And this is not an accident. It seems very intentional that this is called out as a Canaanite woman. It wouldn't have been a slip of the tongue because this word wouldn't have been used very often at all. And in the other version of this story that happens in one of the other biographies, she's referred to as a Syro-Phoenician woman, not a Canaanite woman. So this is a very intentional thing. A Canaanite, one of those terrible Canaanite people, comes to Jesus, and at first he ignores her. Then his disciples say, you should send her away. She continues to come at him. She needs help. Her daughter needs help. His response is, well, I'm not going to throw food meant for the children to dogs. She then responds, and he comes back and says, great is your faith. Your daughter has been healed. That whole, like Jesus saying, basically implying that this Canaanite woman is a dog. How does that sit with you? Is that consistent with the character that we have learned about Jesus? I could probably ask the kids, does that sound like Jesus? And the answer is probably no, and that's exactly the point that they are trying to make. The expectation is that this Canaanite person would be treated in this way, and yet we know, because we know the character and the love of Jesus, that this is not going to be how it goes. Instead, how he responds is, this person who has been left for dead is actually of great faith, even among all of the Israelites, the insiders. That is what we need to lean in on. The contrast to say, you know what, that is not consistent with Jesus and the God that we have come to know. And that is why he ends up responding this way. Friends, we're in a time that is not so different from 2,000 years ago and has kind of continued even up until this day, where there are lots and lots of people who claim the name of God and say that they are doing things in the name of God, even and especially really terrible, hateful, violent things. And what that means is that we need to be people of discernment. We need to be people who one of the New Testament authors describes as, we need to be able to test the spirits. Because just because someone says something is from God does not mean that it actually is. So what we need is we need to know the heart of God, the life and the teachings of Jesus. As those who truly believe that the way of Jesus is the best way to live and have and move and have our being in the world, we need to know them so well, so that when we come in contact with people or institutions who claim to be acting on the behalf of God, we're able to say, that is not true, and I am willing and needing to stand against it. So may we have the courage, the faith, the strength to do just that. May that be so.
Please rise as you're able and join us in one final song this morning.
Light to the darkness, you give hope.
Before we go, just a reminder, we have the Campfire Night, Embers and Echoes, which is happening this Friday at 6:30 p.m. You are welcome just to show up or to bring something to share, even and especially your musical talents, if you are so inclined. It's so good to be with you this morning. There's plenty of other places that you could be. Mid-August tends to be the most difficult time in church attendance here at the Grove, and yet you showed up. And so the right people showed up. I want to acknowledge that and celebrate your dedication to this church and to one another. You're already standing, so I'll have you extend your hands to receive this blessing. Folks, be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. To speak on and act on behalf of the true heart of God as revealed to us in Jesus. May that be so. Amen.